Hello class, hope you've all been well. Today we will talk about another important disease of blood vessel, that is aneurysms. Now the way I've written aneurysms, I'm sure you must be thinking that whether ma'am is becoming creative or she's trying to create some design, or was she sleepy when she was making this PPT? Right? No. Yeah, you people have guessed right. The way aneurysm is written is because aneurysms literally mean a dilation or a bulge. So you can see the make a single linear line and you'll see that the aneurysms are bulging out from the linear line. So the learning objectives of today's session, by the end of the session, students shall be able to define aneurysm and classify it, discuss pathogenesis of aneurysms with special reference to AAAs, its morphological variants and clinical complications. Describe briefly the pathogenesis and morphology of syphilitic aneurysms and describe etiology and histologic features of aortic dissection. So what is an aneurysm? How do you define an aneurysm? Aneurysm is defined as a permanent, localized, abnormal dilation of a blood vessel, or it could be a wall of heart occurring due to congenital or acquired weakening or destruction of the vessel wall. So we can say that due to any reason, it may be congenital or it may be acquired, the arterial vessel wall has weakened. And due to this weakening, the vessel creates a dilation. There is a dilation in the wall and this dilation is abnormal. It is not diffuse. A diffused dilation of a vessel cannot be called an aneurysm. It has to be localized and it is irreversible. That is, it is permanent. And this can occur either in large elastic arteries like aorta. So, and not only the vessels, even the wall of the heart, a ventricular chamber can be undergo aneurysm. For example, we see in blood vessel, we see aneurysms in the aorta. And in the wall of heart, we see aneurysms after an episode of myocardial infarction. If there is an infarction of a left ventricle, the wall will heal by fibrosis, and due to this, the wall becomes weak and can undergo dilation or a bulging, which we'll call it as a ventricular aneurysm. Classification of aneurysms, they can be classified on the basis of origin, that is either they are congenital or acquired. It can be on the basis of gross appearance. It can be on the basis of location, depending upon etiology or depending upon the composition of the vessel wall. So we'll see how the classification is done individually. First, how is it classified depending upon the composition of the vessel wall? So according to this, there are two types of aneurysms. One is the true aneurysm and the other is the false aneurysm, or we can also call it the pseudoaneurysm. So true aneurysm is when the outpouching or the dilation, the wall of that outpouching is made up of all the three layers of the normal vessel. That is, you can see here in the center is the normal vessel. And on the left side, you can see the vessel wall is bulged or dilated. And you can see that it is lined by all the three layers of the wall, that is intima, media and adventitia. And because the all the three layers are there, they may be thinned out or attenuated, or they may be normal. But lining is by all the three walls. So we can see that the blood that is flowing is in continuity with the cardiovascular system. So blood in the bulging is not separate. It is in continuity with the vascular system. Whereas look at the other side. The other side is the figure of a false aneurysm. And what is a false aneurysm? due to any reason, usually it is due to trauma, there may become a hole in the wall of the vessel, and through this hole, the blood leaks out. It leaks out of the vascular system. It gets collected outside, and then the lining of that bulging or the outpouching is either by the extravascular connective tissue, it may be a thin layer of adventitia, and usually it will contain clot, this collection. So here the lining is not by all the three layers. So this is an example of false aneurysm, and the other side is the true aneurysm. So examples of true aneurysm are the aneurysms which we see: atherosclerotic, syphilitic, congenital, ventricular aneurysms. Whereas example of false aneurysm, we can say that whenever there is a subcapsular hematoma that occurs, or whenever there is a leak at the suture site. So they are all false aneurysms, not true aneurysms. So this is again another figure showing true aneurysm and false aneurysm. And the lower down you will see a figure of dissecting aneurysm. Now that itself is a distinct entity which we will discuss later. Okay. Depending upon the shape. So aneurysms can be saccular, which will show a spherical outpouching. They may be fusiform, which you will see are slightly spindly in shape. So we can even say that saccular is asymmetrical dilatation, whereas fusiform type of aneurysms, the dilatation is symmetrical on both sides. Then cylindrical, which is parallel dilatation. Serpentine or varicose, which is tortuous dilations you can see. Then racemose or cercoid type, that is the mass of interconnecting small arteries and veins. And the Berry aneurysms. So these are photographs showing fusiform aneurysm, which is slightly spindly, and spherical is the saccular aneurysm. And this is a picture of the Berry aneurysm, which you can see here. This generally arises around the circle of Willis and is in relation to the middle cerebral artery. And these are seen at the base of the brain. Based on pathogenetic mechanisms, so depending upon etiology. So most common cause of aneurysms is atherosclerosis. Most of the aneurysms are due to this cause. The second important cause is hypertension. So atherosclerosis and hypertension together form the major causes of aneurysms. Other causes are syphilitic. In older books you may even see it mentioned as lutic. Dissecting aneurysm, which I said is a distinct entity. Mycotic aneurysms. Now these aneurysms occur due to weakening of the vessel wall due to microbial infections. Then Marfan syndrome, Loeys syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, these are all due to weakness of the wall due to the quality of collagen or the connective tissue being poor. And there are other causes like trauma, vasculitis and congenital defects. Now when we talk of etiology and pathogenesis, what is the pathogenesis? We have seen the causes, but how do they lead to aneurysm formation? So we know that aneurysm develops whenever there is weakness of the vessel or the vascular wall. Now why would there be weakness of the wall? This weakness would be because we know the wall is made up of, if we see intima, media and adventitia, it is mainly made up of elastin tissue, collagen tissue, smooth muscle in the media and so on. So whenever the weakness is there, it is because the connective tissue of the vascular wall is compromised, right? So what could be the reason for compromise or defect in this connective tissue? It could be one, due to inadequate or abnormal synthesis of connective tissue, that is the formation is only poor, or it could be that the formation is proper, but there is an increased breakdown of connective tissue. So these two, formation and breakdown of connective tissue, usually there is a balance in the normal vascular wall. But whenever there is a loss of balance between synthesis and degradation, that leads to aneurysm. And the third cause could be that there is, due to some reason, loss of smooth muscle cells. So let us see why there would be inadequate formation or synthesis of connective tissue. Now there is a factor, that is the transforming growth factor beta, which regulates the smooth muscle proliferation and synthesis of connective tissue matrix. So whenever there is any alteration or mutation in TGF-beta, that leads to defective formation of connective tissue in the vascular wall. So examples of this are the Marfan syndrome, in which due to mutation of TGF-beta, there is defective synthesis of fibrillin. Now fibrillin is the scaffolding protein in the wall. So whenever there is defective synthesis of fibrillin, there is weakness and of elastic tissue of aorta that leads to dilation and aneurysm formation. Another reason is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, in which similarly there is defective synthesis of collagen 3 fibers. Loeydit syndrome, in which there is defective formation of elastin and collagen type 1 and type 3. And vitamin C deficiency, in which there is defective cross-linking of the collagen fibers. So these are all due to defective formation of connective tissue. Now, other side of the balance, we see if there is increased breakdown of connective tissue, and this occurs due to increased activity of enzyme MMP, that is matrix metalloprotease enzymes. Not only this enzyme, but other associated proteases. These enzymes increase in inflammation. They also increase in atherosclerosis, where they are secreted by the macrophages, in vasculitis. So these enzymes, they degrade the extracellular matrix and cause weakening of the vessels. Third cause could be due to loss of smooth muscle cells. Now this occurs in, what happens in atherosclerosis? What happens in hypertension? In atherosclerosis, because there is a plaque in the intima, there is a big atheromatous plaque in the intima, due to which oxygen cannot reach from the lumen to the media. Okay, leading to ischemia in the media and loss of smooth muscle cells. Similarly, in hypertension. In hypertension, there is hyaline arteriosclerosis of small arteries. So the vasa vasorum which are there in the adventitia, they become narrowed because of this arteriosclerosis. So again, there is ischemia from the outer side to the media, and so there is loss of smooth muscle cells in the outer media. So all this balance, when there is loss in balance, it leads to aneurysm formation. Based on location, they are mainly classified into two types: abdominal aortic aneurysms and thoracic aortic aneurysms. Abdominal aortic aneurysms usually cause is atherosclerosis. And thoracic aortic aneurysms, the causes are hypertension, syphilis, Marfan syndrome, etc. Aortic dissection, we'll see later. So this is, you can see in the figure, the syphilitic aneurysms which are occurring in the thorax, either in the arch of aorta or the ascending aorta. Dissecting is also occurring in the arch. Atherosclerotic aneurysms, you can see, are mainly occurring in the abdominal aorta. Because we know that atherosclerosis commonly affects the descending or the abdominal aorta. So naturally the aneurysm is going to be more common there if it is due to atherosclerosis. So first we'll see the AAA, that is abdominal aortic aneurysms. So they are most common aneurysm, 60 to 70% because of this. Incidence is more in males, smokers, age more than 50. All the risk factors of atherosclerosis will lead to aneurysm. We have seen as a complication of atherosclerosis, aneurysm occurs. So most common sites are abdominal aorta, may occur in thoracic aorta, iliac arteries and other large arteries. Pathogenesis, we've already seen, because there is a large plaque in the intima, that leads to defective oxygen supply, ischemia of the media, leading to thinning and destruction of the medial smooth muscle wall and the elastic tissue, causing atrophy and weakening of vessel wall. In addition, there is excessive degradation by ECM by the MMP enzyme, which is secreted by macrophages in atherosclerotic plaque. Now, these aneurysms generally occur in the abdominal aorta, and most frequent site of abdominal aortic aneurysm is infrarenal, that is below the bifurcation of the renal arteries and above the bifurcation of aorta into the common iliac, into the iliac arteries. So, infrarenal abdominal aorta, you can see in this picture, is the most common site of development. Another picture showing infrarenal abdominal atherosclerotic aneurysm. This is again a picture of abdominal aortic aneurysm. In the first picture, you can see the arrow showing the rupture site. And second picture, you can see a disorganized clot or a thrombus formation in the lumen of the aneurysm. Histologically, not very significant. What you can see is it loses its normal arterial structure. There may be presence of fibrous tissue in media, adventitia, mild chronic inflammation, and you may see remnants of the atheromatous plaque, and thrombus may be present also. Now, AAA, abdominal aortic aneurysms, are not only caused by atherosclerosis, though most common cause is there, but there are three other variants which are associated with abdominal aneurysms. One is inflammatory aortic aneurysm. It occurs in 5 to 10% of AAAs are comprising of this, occurs in younger patients, and it is due to immune response to abdominal aortic wall and characterized by periaortic fibrosis with lymphoplasmacytic and macrophages infiltrate. Another cause is IgG4 related disease. And the third cause is mycotic aneurysms. Now this is a misnomer because these aneurysms are not only caused by fungal organisms, but they are also caused by bacterial organisms. These organisms weaken the wall of the vessel, leading to dilation. Now, where would these organisms come from? Either they come from an extension of an adjacent foci, or they may be due to direct involvement of the vessel wall infection by the bacterial or fungal organism, or they may have come as a septic embolus from a infective endocarditis focus. Now, the clinical effects of abdominal aortic aneurysms, most of these are asymptomatic and they are discovered incidentally. Either the patient has come for full body checkup, routine examination, and they are diagnosed either on USG or CT abdomen or MRI. The most common clinical effect is we know that whenever there is a bulging, there is going to be stagnation of blood there, leading to thrombosis. And once the thrombosis is formed, this is in continuity to the flowing blood. So the focus may dislodge from this thrombus and spread ahead and lodge somewhere else, leading to embolism. And not only embolism, this embolus that has traveled, it may even lead to arterial occlusion by occluding another major vessel. So may lead to ischemic injury to the supplied tissue. Another complication or effect that these aneurysms may have is, now because they are separately dilated bulges, they may compress on the adjacent structures, adjacent normal structures. So if it is in the abdomen, it will compress on the ureter, or it may compress on the vertebral bodies behind. So compression leading to symptoms of compression may occur. Most serious and fatal complication is the rupture, and this is the most common cause of death. These aortic atherosclerotic aneurysms, abdominal aneurysms, they are more than 3 to 5 centimeter in size, sometimes as large as 15 centimeters. So this big size aneurysm, if it ruptures, it is going to lead to serious and catastrophic complication. Even if we talk about berry aneurysms in the CNS, when they rupture, they lead to subarachnoid hemorrhage, which is again a catastrophic event. So clinical effects are more or less similar for abdominal aneurysms and thoracic aneurysm, except because of the location, the compressing structures may be different. Rest clinical effects are common. Now we come to thoracic aortic aneurysms. You can see the first picture is showing normal aorta, and in the second picture we can see a dilation or aneurysm of the arch of aorta, right? Ascending aorta and arch of aorta. Thoracic aneurysms most common cause is hypertension. 90% is due to hypertension. Other causes are Marfan syndrome, Loeydith syndrome, and the third cause is syphilis. In hypertension, when we talk of hypertension, the aneurysms occur, as I've already told you in pathogenesis, that there is hyaline arteriosclerosis of the vessels. So that causes hyaline arteriosclerosis of the vasa vasorum also, leading to ischemic injury to the media and thus weakening of media, that is smooth muscle cells, elastin, and causing dilation. Talking about syphilitic aneurysm, this is in the type of cardiovascular syphilis, which occurs in 10% cases of syphilis. Usually occurs in the tertiary syphilis, but nowadays we see less incidence of this disease because syphilis itself has reduced in its incidence. Most common vessels are aorta and cerebral arteries, age more than 50 years, males more than females. Sites, most common site is thoracic aorta. It may be ascending, and arch may extend. Now, because it is involving the ascending aorta, so this aneurysm, if it extends proximally, it can involve the aortic valve also, leading to aortic incompetence. And if distally it extends, it can extend into the abdominal aorta. What is the pathogenesis? It is one of the major complications of syphilitic aortitis. Now, how does it start? In syphilis, these treponins, they have an affinity for causing inflammation around the vasa vasorum of adventitia. So, there is an inflammatory infiltrate due to treponins around the vasa vasorum, which is consisting of plasma cells mostly and few lymphocytes. This phenomena of inflammation of plasma cells around vasa vasorum is called as endarteritis obliterans, or we also call it obliterative endarteritis. Now, because of this, there is ischemic injury to the media. Now, these vessels are narrowed because of inflammation, causing narrowing, leading to ischemia. So there is destruction of smooth muscles and elastic tissue of media, and scarring and weakening of the vessel wall. Morphologically, if we see, they are mainly saccular type, diameter 3 to 5 centimeters, and because of fibrosis, the intimal surface has a tree bark-like appearance. When the appearance that we see in old banyan trees, the bark of the tree, wrinkling that is seen, can be seen here. And as I said, if the involvement, it can involve the aortic valve, because here it is the thoracic aorta that is involved. And if that is involved, it leads to rolling and incompetence of aortic valve. And because of that, there would be left ventricular hypertrophy. Because of aortic incompetence, there will be volume overload and left ventricle will become hypertrophied. This hypertrophy is so much so that it leads to a massively enlarged heart, 3 times the normal size of human heart. And that is why it is called as cor bovinum, which means the size of a heart of a cow. That is the enlargement which can be seen due to left ventricular hypertrophy. This is a microscopic, you can see what you see here. We can see the intima showing the tree bark appearance. The fibrosis that is there, it gives a tree bark up. Here you can see the fibrosis. And on gross appearance, it will give a tree bark appearance. And in the, you can see in the media and the adventitia, there is endarteritis obliterans. That is, you can see narrow, small vessels containing RBC, red colored, surrounded by plasma cells and few lymphocytes. This is the vasa vasorum surrounded by causing endarteritis obliterans or obliterative endarteritis, seen in media and adventitia. So microscopically, what you will see in adventitia is endarteritis obliterans. Rarely you may see the spirochetes and occasionally thrombus. Usually tertiary stage, we don't see spirochetes. Very rare cases you may see. So here in the first picture, you can see the media and adventitia showing the bluish thing that is seen as the obliterative endarteritis. In B picture, you can see a higher power showing vasa vasorum surrounded by plasma cells. That is again obliterative endarteritis. In the last picture, as I said, rarely you may see tryponims in the site, and these can be demonstrated by Warthin-Starry stain. Clinical effects, as I told you earlier, the clinical effects of all aneurysms are more or less the same, except because of location, certain things may differ. So the most fatal clinical effect is rupture, right? Rupture is common, but here the bleeding or the hemorrhage will occur in the pleural cavity, pericardial sac, trachea and esophagus, because location is in the thorax. In abdominal aneurysms, the location is in the peritoneal cavity, whereas here the hemorrhage will be in the thoracic cavity. Compression of adjacent sites, compression of trachea may occur, leading to dyspnea. Compression of esophagus causing dysphagia. Recurrent laryngeal nerve leading to hoarseness, the brassy cough that we say. Erosion of vertebra, sternum and ribs may occur because location again is in thorax. But here there is one additional clinical effect, because if there is aortic involvement, will lead to aortic incompetence and cardiac failure. So this is about thoracic aneurysms. And the last one is the dissecting aneurysms, which now the terminology is used is aortic dissection and not dissecting aneurysms, because here there is no dilation. It is a dissection. So preferable to use the word aortic dissection. What is aortic dissection? Aortic dissection is a dissecting hematoma in which the blood from the aortic lumen enters the aortic wall and spreads for varying distance longitudinally to form a blood-filled channel within the aortic wall. So say it simply, there is a tear in the intima, any defect or tear in the intima from which blood enters into the wall of the vessel, not outside the wall, in the wall of the vessel. Actually, it runs in the laminar planes of the media. In the media, it runs as a blood-filled channel. Okay, so it dissects the aortic wall as a blood-filled channel for long distance, longitudinally. Most common site is aorta, and this is again an acute catastrophic aortic event. Mostly 50 to 70 years of age, mostly in men. So you can see here in this picture how there is a lumen and blood enters due to any tear in the intima. It enters into the media. You can see on the inner side intima, outer side adventitia. So it penetrates and runs in the medial plane for long distance. So this false lumen, that is created. This is the aortic dissection. Can you see in the second picture, the whole channel is filled with blood. Why does it occur? Due to weakening of the aortic media, and the conditions which are associated with aortic dissection, 90% is due to hypertensive disease and rest is due to the connective tissue diseases, Marfan syndrome, Ehlers-Danlos. Iatrogenic trauma can lead to aortic dissection during catheterization, cardiac and bypass. Women during pregnancy can develop. Usually the hypertensive causes occur in older people and the remaining causes will occur in the younger people. Pathological changes, no significant dilation, so better to call it as aortic dissection. And here you can see it begins in the ascending aorta and due to a transverse or an oblique tear, which is sharp 1 to 5 centimeter, and it runs between in the media, between the outer and middle third of aortic media. We can see here in this picture. So you can see here, it starts in the arch of aorta. There is shown an intimal tear. From here, the blood enters into the media and it divides the media into inner 2/3 and outer 1/3 and forms a blood-filled channel. So in the inner side of the channel, we have the intima and the inner 2/3 of media, and outside the channel, we have the outer 1/3 of media and the adventitia. So in this cut section also, you can see how the dissection is seen in the media. Okay. In the gross section, you can see the arrow showing the site of the intimal tear from where the blood enters into the wall of the aorta. In 10% of patients, what happens is, all the patients, blood enters from this tear, but in 10% of patients, there is a distal tear also from where the blood re-enters into the lumen. This doesn't occur in all patients. It occurs in 10% of patients, that from the proximal tear, the blood enters into the wall and there is a distal tear from where blood re-enters into the lumen. So if this channel remains patent and if for longer duration, what will happen is there will be endothelialization of the lumen, this whole lumen, and in these cases, if the patient survives, only then there will be endothelialization, because otherwise this is catastrophic. The patient may not survive, but if the patient survives, then that false lumen will develop a lining, and in that case, we call it a double barrel aorta. That is, there are two lumens which are lined by endothelium. Okay. Again, this picture showing the aortic dissection. Now types, there are two types, type A and type B. They are known as DeBakey type A and type B. Now type A, again there is 1, 2. Now this type A is the proximal involvement, in which you may see that it may involve either the ascending aorta along with descending aorta, or in the second picture, ascending aorta alone. So the first one occurs in 75% of patients, type A1 occurs in 75% of patients, and type A2 occurs in 5% of patients. And DeBakey type 3 is a distal lesion where it generally involves the descending aorta, sparing the proximal aorta, or the ascending aorta. And this generally arises after the division or bifurcation of the subclavian artery. So these are DeBakey type A, type 2 type of aortic dissections. Histological changes. There is a gross finding which we call it as characteristic feature of cystic medial necrosis. This is a type of degeneration in which we see many cystic spaces in media which contain some basophilic extracellular ground substance. There is separation of muscle, elastic tissue of the media, fragmentation of elastic tissue, and increased fibrosis. So you can see here cystic spaces in the media. Here the lesion is in the media, right? So cystic spaces in the media containing some basophilic matrix. You can see the elastic tissue on the right side. You can see normal layering of the elastic tissue, and on the left side you can see fragmentation showing haphazard arrangement of the elastic tissue. This is by special stain of elastic tissue. Now, clinical effects of aortic dissection, as I said, catastrophic, presents with excruciating tearing pain in chest, which moves downward because the whole column of blood is moving longitudinally downwards. Rupture, most common cause of death, hemorrhage from this can occur. And again, this is also involving the ascending aorta, so it can involve the aortic valve, leading to aortic valve incompetence or infarction can occur due to involvement of the coronary ostia or the opening, right? And ischemia may occur. So this is about aortic dissection. So this completes our aneurysm. So we mainly saw three types: abdominal aortic aneurysms, thoracic aneurysms, and aortic dissection. Abdominal aortic aneurysms are mainly due to atherosclerosis, but there are three variants associated with it: mycotic, IgG4 type, and inflammatory aneurysm. In thoracic aneurysm, we saw most common cause is hypertension, then syphilis, then other connective tissue disorders like Marfan's, Loeyd's, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And the third which we saw in syphilis, what we saw was the tree barking appearance, the obliterative end arteritis, and the gross appearance of cor bovinum. Then comes we saw the aortic dissection, in which we saw how the blood dissects in the vascular wall in the plane of the media, dividing it into two. And here the changes that we saw was, it can occur, double barrel aorta may occur, and on microscopic, we can see cystic medial generation and degeneration. And pathogenesis, we saw how atherosclerosis causes aneurysm, how syphilis causes aneurysm, how hypertension causes aneurysm, and how the other lesions like Marfan syndrome, Loeyd's syndrome, and these can cause aneurysmal formation. So if you have any questions, you can post them. Thank you.